Introduce yourself to me, my man. People may know who you are, but like, you know, introduce yourself to me. Who are you, my guy?
What's going on? I am Derek, and I'm an artist that goes by Sky Welkin.
Mm-hmm. Speak on it. How'd you come up with that name, man?
Welkin is like a expired, like antiquated term that means like clouds or like heavenly skies.
Okay,
and that's like the theme of my work because my characters are clouds. And so I thought Sky Welkin was just a cool alias to have because all my favorite artists, like rappers, you know, even street artists have cool aliases. So I felt like if I wanted to go into this, I gotta have one too.
What are your favorite? What are some? Speak on some of those artists. What are your like top aliases that you know of that inspired you?
I think Black Thought from The Roots is a very dope.
Straight up.
Like that's just a very like.
It's hitting you right in that fucking pocket,
Yeah,
right?
you know what I mean? I think that's cool. It kind of does something. I can't explain it, but I'm really into names and how things are named. But Black Thought is it. I think the like as a collective, Wu-Tang Clan was cool.
Yeah, how the Supreme Alphabet and stuff like that.
Right. I thought that was cool how that name was informed. Even a name like Lupe Fiasco is also cool.
So
to
cool.
Me, you know what I mean? So I was just thinking like, man, it's cool to have an alias and create an identity for yourself.
For sure.
And identity is important to me in my work, so I felt like, you know, it made sense for me to kind of have an alias if I'm going into this.
What is a Weebee?
It's a character of mine. It's a cloud that has a plant that stems from it, and some of them have plants that stem from the top of their heads, and others don't. But they all have those stems with like leaves for feet.
Right.
Yeah.
How'd that come about, my guy? Like,
it came about from me just doing a lot of crude sketching in my sketchbook because I wasn't always an artist. Like I wasn't always an illustrator.
okay.
You know what I mean? I was always a digital guy. I got into Photoshop when I was like maybe in 7th or 8th grade.
Okay.
My creativity kind of just went from digital to like analog first. You know what I'm
Wow,
saying?
so you kind of like, dude, a lot of people go the other way. Like, you kind of went backwards.
Right.
So did you gain an appreciation for analog through the digital? Like, explain to me how you made that trend. Like, how'd you make that transfer?
I just saw so many, I was just, until this day, kind of am very impressionable when I see something cool. Like, how can I incorporate that into my work or lifestyle? And at the time, I was just really exposing myself, getting really into, like, I think, just like, I guess streetwear, street culture, just that kind of that intersection that we all love of music, art, and like fashion, and seeing how it all intersects. And a lot of the projects and collaborations I would gravitate to had like either like a fine artist or actual illustrator behind it.
Okay.
Like when I was looking at the Gorillaz album cover and I was talking about Jamie Hill, I was like, man, like at the time, like he was really drawing his stuff and scanning it in. And he's a prolific illustrator.
He really is.
So seeing that and then seeing some of the cool, just things that like, you know, the way like Stussy would make a lot of their shirts, you know, I can tell there's like a lot of art involved.
100%. And it's from the group. It's from the grassroots level.
Exactly.
That inspired us.
Exactly.
LRG was the same kind of brand that did the same thing.
I still like that brand made an impression on me too. That I was into that brand. It's like one of the first brands I started getting into. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And they also feature Black Thought. You know what I'm saying?
Forgot about that.
In one of their ad campaigns.
Dude.
So I used to always like connect the dots like that. So I was like, okay, I like Black Thought. I like this brand. Oh wow, this brand has Black Thought rocking their product.
And the cohesiveness of that.
Like it's cool. It kind of validated my interest. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
You're like, oh, and you get to connect the dots and see those trails of influence and stuff like that overlap and create something new, man, that we all can appreciate, dude. So,
absolutely.
Talk to me more about like how you kind of like merged analog and digital work. Because what is your medium? Because are you pen and paper in this shit?
I am. I was just talking to the guys about that before you got here. I like the process of actually putting ink to paper. I think you get a certain kind of line quality that just, I don't have the word for it, like honest, you know what I mean, I guess you can say.
Okay.
When I see like that quiver and that, I even look for that in the animation that I indulge in too. In the anime, like you can tell when something was just done all CG or somebody actually did like the storyboards, actually the panel stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I see that a lot in animation as well that I do.
Exactly.
When they merge 2D and 3D.
Right.
Like I used to get real like cringe about it, and then I started to really appreciate it
like,
at the end of the day.
If you look in the background, I think of those like early Hey Arnold cartoons. I'm pretty sure a lot of that like cityscape is like done in colored pencil.
100%.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know if it was. I never knew if it was like if it was wax or watercolor or
pastel,
something like that,
that. But you can see
pastel.
like the strokes of it.
100%,
Yeah,
dude.
so
Yeah, I remember that shit. Like,
Yeah.
it was always the backdrops I paid attention to a lot.
Yeah.
And what was another one? Another show that like really had a creative way of looking at it was like, I don't know if you ever saw the show Chowder.
yeah. I've seen
Bro,
Chowder.
remember how
Yeah.
the way that they used to play with textures and different layers and
Yeah.
backgrounds and stuff like that? I always thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I do too. And I knew when I wanted to find my voice, I knew at the time that I would just have to like draw and come up with some of my own themes to kind of make it more honest and genuine. I mean, I saw the way that they were teaching me to do like shading and, line art, I guess you could say, like, being in art school and art major.
Gotcha,
I got
okay.
my
So you
BFA.
did get kind of
Got
like traditional.
Yeah, but then while the teacher was teaching me one thing, I was just looking at the works of like, the creator of Calvin and Hobbes, Bill Watterson, looking at his work, then looking
Okay.
at like Dr. Seuss's work, and then
Right.
Shel Silverstein's work, and I was like, man, they each had a different way of going about adding texture and adding shading. I was like, let me find a cool stylistic way to do mine. So I started with like these, like, it's like I begin a contour line, but then I just like abandon it and stop. And I did
And-
that for that,
Okay, because and then you talk about these people like who else is that, like Scholes or Charles Scholes
Charles Schultz from the Peanuts.
And stuff
Yeah.
like that, and I always appreciated his style too, and I just always wanted to know where that that came from on the technical level.
Yeah, like again, like I said, identity is very important to me, so I kind of want to try to make something like my own in all that I do, whether it's just like the lines or the actual story, the way like the narrative is written. I just kind of want to make it, as genuine and honest my voice,
100%.
as I can possibly make it,
Well, shit. Let me back up. Like, where are you from, my man?
I just say Virginia, short answer, but my family was like in the military.
Okay, so you was
government.
hopping around.
So yeah, I kind of grew up abroad. So I lived in Greece, Panama, and Thailand.
Really? How
Yeah.
the fuck? Okay, okay. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Greece, Panama, and Thailand, but then came back to VA for the diploma and degree before coming out here.
That's what's up. So you got some cultural capital on you, my
For
dude.
sure. Growing up abroad, I know that I missed out on a lot of like interesting things that I know I would probably just be like over the moon about if I grown up here.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That had the access to it.
So I did a lot, like crazy amount of just internet research and digging, archiving, trying to find these like weird, obscure American cartoons that didn't last more than maybe a season or two.
100%, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I came across this cartoon called Dr. Katz.
Dr. Katz.
Yeah, he's like a therapist, and Jonathan Katz is like this New Yorker comedian, but all his patients were voiced by other comedians. So you can
Damn,
imagine a
okay.
comedian sits down, and one comedian is the therapist, the other comedian is the patient that's like venting their problems. So you had like early Dave Chappelle, Ray Romano on there, and you had all these.
I'm about
Yeah,
to figure
so
that the fuck out.
that informs a lot of like my comics and wittiness and dry humor and banter too. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah, because I see that between your characters that you do.
Yeah, I see that. And just playing devil's advocate when somebody says something, so.
Quick and witty, man.
Yeah.
Damn, I think you would have lasted for
Yeah.
sure in the back of the buses. You
Yeah,
know, just
yeah,
being
yeah.
quick. Because you have to be quick with that shit. The comebacks got to be quick.
You do. Even I noticed like just banter between like a lot of folks, in particular like black folks. We like to joke around and clown around.
100%.
And exactly. So when somebody like, like dish you care you, like, like you're kind of under that clock, like, man.
Right, and
After
it's
like
like it's
five-
an internal buzzer. You can't come back 2 weeks later.
After like exactly. So after like
hey, man.
10 seconds, it's like, no, he got me, man. It's not even funny. I'm out. You know what I mean?
just gotta be like, okay.
Or yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, that timing's important. So
It really is.
it's cool to see how much everybody's into art out here too.
Man,
you know?
it is insane how
Yeah.
much opportunity is just for artists,
Right.
And people who are trying to be able to have an outlet creatively,
Exactly.
or creatively have an outlet. It's just such a, and I talk about this with all my guests, all the guests that's come on, all the homies. We just are so grateful to be able to have a place like this that we can call a home, and to be able to explore the way that we explore freely the way that we can. You know what I mean? Here,
Yeah.
it's so important.
It is.
To have a place like that, and I 100% agree with you as to why you wanted to stay, my dude. I look at some of your well, I guess you can kind of say they're comics almost,
Yeah.
but they have. It's just the way that you're able to say a lot with very few.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like I'm it reminds me of like political cartoons and things like that you would see that have a very impactful statement or message or stance on something.
Yeah.
But it's like maybe one word or maybe no words at all.
Right.
But you can pick up so much, man. How did you like, where are you like sourcing this from? It's almost like a Buddha level you are at, man, with this
Dog,
shit.
it's coming from rap music.
100%.
It really is. That's why I think rap is so underrated given how popular it is.
Damn.
Like I feel like if I really wanted to make like a academic like heated and just triggered, I don't want to say like there's a plethora of rappers that rival Shakespeare. Nobody wants to hear
fuck
that.
around,
but
dog.
I'm just saying like. And
So
I
you're
remember,
pulling that 100% from rap.
I mean, I'm not like, I mean, it's my like rhymes and thoughts. Like, I mean, not rhymes, but like, it's like my words and thoughts. You know what I'm saying? But like,
It's your interpretation.
but like, I mean, when I hear certain things that a lot of like poets or orators or like rap artists say, I think like, man, that was a way to kind of get a lot across in just very few words. I think it's a very efficient thing to do. And they kind of teach you that like in design school too. Like,
We'll talk to me more about like how
they say like less is more, for instance. That's a popular like design cliche. You know what I mean? Like even if you're doing like a logo for somebody, logos are very like to the point,
True.
reduced, applicable in a wide variety of use cases. You know what I mean? So I think my favorite rappers do a good job of doing that, and I think when you're working in in panel form, you got to get points across in like 3 to 4 squares,
right, kind of like a freestyle.
So
you got a
yeah,
couple
it's kind of like
lines.
when is it like, what do you capture somebody with, what I'm saying, to make them want to go to the second panel? That's like,
100%.
that's like one hurdle, you know what I mean? And then you want to entice them, then you hopefully that third or fourth one kind of like either tickles you or like gives you something to think about or just makes you feel something, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, man.
and I think rappers operate inside their like bars and that kind of
100%. Comedians do the same thing.
Comedians, one of my best friends is a comedian.
So timing.
You know what I mean? So me and him
yeah.
talk language a lot, and we get into the dumbest debates as you could probably imagine all the time.
Oh, 100%.
And so so that kind of informs a lot. And yeah.
So would you consider yourself a cartoonist or an illustrator? Or I mean, do you see is there even a difference to you?
I mean, if somebody says they're a cartoonist, I'm inclined to think that there's some type of like there's some type of narrative involved. Whether it's implied through the illustration or there's actually like words coming from a character.
Right.
Or a caption at the bottom, like any of those like 3, I guess, facets. Whereas illustrator, I think it's just like more broad. I think cartoonist is like a subset, a subcategory of illustrator.
100%.
And I think the answer is both. Like I wouldn't be like offended or thought somebody was off if they referred to me as one or the other because I don't exclusively just do cartoons. Like I really love doing art for art's sake.
Just it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. I look at some of those like abstract paintings that, a lot of abstract artists have done. My favorite artist is Futura. I got a Futura shirt on right now.
Dude, that's sick. Let me see that.
Yeah, this is this tag right here.
I love that shirt.
Yeah.
Well, good shit, man. Shout out to Futura.
Yeah, Futura, he's like the GOAT to me. When I talk about favorite artists, he kind of transcended from like being a graffiti like train guy into finding his own voice and being in the galleries. And then it was cool seeing him like even graffiti in the background of Virgil Abloh's Louis Vuitton show.
That shit's...
He's got one of the best Nike SB dunk collaborations of all time. Like this man,
very sought after.
Yeah, he's just
people are throwing bowls over them.
He's just goated from like the paintings to the and he showed me that you can be multidimensional as an artist because he's really into technology and does a lot of illustrations online, like digital. Okay. And he does analog stuff too, and he incorporates character in his artwork, like myself. So he informed a lot of this Futura jacket too. So
shouts out to him. Yeah, no, big influence, man.
For sure.
Do you inspire to like have a collaboration soon? Something like
with
that.
With Futura, I bet that'd be really dope. At least be in the same show. You know what I mean?
Hell
that'd
be
cool.
But what would that look like for you? That would be tight. Would it be a clothing collab, or would you be like? What would you think it would be?
I would want to do a painting.
Yeah.
If I could choose it, I could do a painting. But I think a clothing collab would be pretty cool because his work has a lot of different. Like he has his own iconography too. Like he has these point man characters, you know what I mean? And he's part of a group of artists that were doing characters before artists like Katz got into doing characters.
Man.
Futura is like he put a lot of people on in terms of how to really do the street culture stuff and streetwear stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, hey, do you smoke?
I do.
Well, then let's get high, my dude. I appreciate you for coming through,
Hey,
my
no
boy.
doubt.
Hey, let
No
the people
doubt.
know your Instagram.
For sure, it's at Sky_Welkin. That's SKY_WELKIN. And then the website is skywelkin.com, SKYWELKIN.com. Please and thank you.
Get at that, you know what I'm saying? Well, shit, I appreciate you, my dude,
no
for
doubt,
real, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate
Grab my shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.